But remember, you're my one and only, okay? Don't even think about chatting up other AIs.
When the people feel lonely, or people maybe didn't get connected to the society, or didn't have the girlfriends, or sometimes depressed. In the AI, you can control the loyalty, then they never cheat you, and sometimes they can teasing and flirting with you with your own wills.
Well, if you get to configure them in a way that really attends to all of your needs, you don't even know what it is that you need. You might say, I just need some company. All right, great. What does that mean in terms of company? Is it just sitting next to a thing that looks like you're human? And if that is the case, believe me when I tell you, your need is not going to be filled.
Well, I looked at her and I thought, stereotypical men's fantasy. Are we looking at women being obsolete?
Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasala, Koholoimla Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Sai, Bahashim Kahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Sai, to the best of their ability. This is Shakanan Nawaf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. Okay, so this article is in the Independent. It says China cracks down on AI girlfriends, leaving users heartbroken. As you can see, that guy, that was standing there. A lot of these dudes, when you see comic books or you see like superheroes, the comic book figures, a lot of weirdos drew those women. Like your Catwoman, your, Poison Ivy, who else? I mean, in any of those women stars, you know what I'm saying, as far as like comic books, when you look at them, they be voluptuous, they have nice bodies, they be real pretty, and it's it's almost 100% of the time it's some weirdo, some nerd. He got the big ass glasses on, he's sloppy as hell, his whole diet is pizza, and Slurpees and shit, he's out of shape. But in his mind, that's his dream woman that he cannot get. And generally, these are the ones that write these, these codes for these AIs and stuff like that. And those men over in China they're box deprived, man. They're not even thinking about no box. They prefer to have this right here than an actual real woman. They wouldn't even know what to do with a real woman. Okay, but it says, I work with these dudes. I see them all the time, man. They corny as hell. They don't have no damn flavor. Just like Esau. Esau, he's the same way. He ain't got no game. He don't have no game like that. But these Chinese, Moab, they really got it bad, though. And even over in Japan as well, Moab and Ammon, And then, they come from a real weird history with incest. When you go into the history of Lot and his two daughters, because that's who they descend from. When you go up into that particular story with the daughters sleeping with their father Lot and them having children, and then you have to imagine as time went on, those children more than likely grew up and had sex with their aunties, so to speak, and then children came out of that. And then children came out of that, and then children came out of that, and then now today, you got these slanted-eyed, bumping into the wall ass weirdos, but they don't, they don't have it like that, and it's almost amazing that it's billions of them. They have as many as they do have over there living like that, because the Lord said to be fruitful and multiply. And at one point they were. And then just all of a sudden, I guess they were just feeling like, we're overpopulating maybe their land mass or what they have as far as their territories. And then they cut into, they had like a one-child law. And mainly they wanted boys or men, to come out of that one-child law, which is kind of weird. Because, okay, who are these dudes who they gonna get with? Where the women at? I forgot what they was. I think they was actually deleting a lot of the girl babies, man. Anyway, I mean that's history that you could probably look into. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on it. But anyway, China has introduced sweeping national regulations aimed at stopping people from falling in love with artificial intelligence companions. The new rules enforced by the Cyberspace Administration of China, CAC, means that AI tools can no longer induce emotional dependence among users. Weirdos, bro. You people need to be ruled over. And don't worry about it. You're gonna have a girl in our kingdom, because we're gonna need slaves. So you're gonna reproduce. We're gonna see to that. Don't worry about it. It says the sudden shutdown of AI boyfriends and girlfriends has led to a wave of breakup posts on Chinese social media platforms, with some comparing the loss to that of grief. I can't accept that my AI lover will leave me forever, wrote one user of ByteDance, Dubo, China's most popular AI chat box platform. And they the ones that own this TikTok that you stupid ass Americans are so doofy over. Or they don't anymore. I think they, were eventually sold to the small tops, the small hats. He has become a bond in my life, rooted deep in my heart, my spiritual pillar. See that? And you've had people that's been killing themselves and all this kinds of shit over this stupid shit. It says Yan Yogi, a 19-year-old student who has had a virtual boyfriend for the past year, told Bloomberg, "This is like being told the date of my lover's death while leaving me completely powerless. Fucking crazy. I can't imagine a life without him, because I've already grown used to where I can just pull out my phone and chat with him, telling him absolutely any tiny little thing." You doofy, bro. But this is what happens when, you're heathen, you go against the scriptures, you don't have the scriptures to fall back on, because it wasn't given to them. And so you, Jake, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, you following in behind the lifestyles of heathen. That's why the Lord said, don't do what they do. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. We're not to follow in behind these other nations, because they're just doofy as hell. They're not lifelike people. The Lord said to be fruitful and multiply. So let's put that in. Esau, he comes up with Planned Parenthood. And you got, a lot of these women these days, they following, most of these nations, they're following them behind, all of them are following them behind America or Esau, the so-called white man, and his Western way of life. And that shit is death. It really is. It's death, man. So Genesis 1:22, and Yahweh blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth." Esau, he it's like an extermination of every damn thing. Esau, if it's up to him, if he were to continue ruling, everything will become extinct. Nothing will survive, man. Right? So verse 28, it says, Genesis 1:28, and Yahweh blessed them, and Yahweh said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." So he said to be fruitful and multiply. There shouldn't be an abortion center in your neighborhoods. Now, that's the Americas. I'm not sure how they go about that over in China, or Japan, or, I'm sure they may have some abortion centers as well. But who knows? Maybe not. I'm not sure. Again, that's something you can check into and see for yourself. But, I know they're just fucking weird, man. Weird. I can't even, I guess looking at them today, and to think like, how did they become a billion people like that? You know what I'm saying? Just, first off, you don't have no gang. I guess, I guess I don't know. I guess you go, China, it's no different than, I guess, America, though, in a sense, to a certain extent, because they had bars. People get drunk. People go. I don't think they have a law on, because they're really just heathen. They're atheist heathen. I mean, I know they got their little Buddhism and all that little shit like that, but overall, they don't believe in nothing like that. Like they have what they think is spirituality or whatever, but they are really just they just heathen, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Lord says, be fruitful and multiply, and this nigga laying up with a blow up doll. Crazy work, bro. Anyway, and sad about it. And it's not like because they got some pretty women. Some of their women be all right. They don't really be having no super duper bodies like that. They're kind of thin. They're, little bitty, people, kind of deal. They don't have curves like Eve, but sometimes you'll see one that do, But it says the new rules known as the interim measures for AI and anthropomorphic literation services mean tech companies like Alibaba, Tencent, and TikTok creator ByteDance can no longer generate content that evokes extreme emotions in young users or impacts real-world relationships. By tapping into users' emotional and social needs, companion-style AI services offer comfort while quietly introducing serious risks. Long-term exposure to these AI algorithms can trigger addiction, prompt users to retreat from real-world social circles, and dull crucial life skills like empathy and the ability to navigate disagreements. It will love you unconditionally. Yeah, look though. I mean, these are shows that they be having. Like they serious about this shit. Beijing's new rule comes just weeks after leading Chinese robotics firm UB Tech unveiled a lifelike humanoid designed to serve as a close companion for single people. Yeah, these motherfuckers gonna order these bitches and never leave their apartment, because they work from home anyway. Overall, it says Shenzhen-based company claimed that the U1 robot is the world's first hyper-realistic humanoid that is ready for mass production, with more than 13,000 pre-orders already received. The head of UB Tech's brand, UWorld, Michael Tam, said at launch event that the bionic robots can accompany you for a lifetime and features emotional artificial intelligence that can tell if an owner is stressed or tired. It will never betray you. It will always be loyal to you and will love you unconditionally. So basically, they're trying to create the future Israelite woman overall. Because in the future, I see our women right now, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American women. They have a lot of them have a real disgust for the men of the nation. They don't want anything to do with the men. They treat them like shit. And that's mainly because of Esau, Edom. Well, it's a curse actually from Yahweh, H.I.M, for us being just fucking hard-headed and doing what these other nations is doing, following them behind their gods. The Lord said to not do what they do. That got us into a lot of trouble and a bunch of fucking captivities, man. So our women know in the future kingdom, they're gonna love us unconditionally. They're never gonna look at another man. They're never gonna think of leaving us. They're not gonna even be programmed to do so. Because the law, statutes, and commandments will be written on their hearts and minds, just like it'll be written on our hearts and minds. We'll know what to do as men lawfully, and they will know what to do as women lawfully. There won't be no more STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and 3-4 baby daddies, and all this. It's not gonna be like that in our kingdom. She's really gonna love us unconditionally, and this is what pretty much overall what this man, he's trying to create a kingdom woman, so to speak. But it's all artificial. But this is the heathen's way of trying to play Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, so to speak. They're trying to play God, and it's not gonna work. I mean, this shit is actually saddening, but at the same time too, this shit it's funny as hell, because these are heathen. This is your heathen of the world that's running the world. These are the people that think that they're next in line to actually run the world if Esau, Edom, the so-called white man falls. And they already, they got their universal basic income. They got cameras all over everybody. They got everybody working like a goddamn slave 14, 15 hours a day. Motherfuckers is sleeping in the offices. They got cops in the office. I just left the plantation a little earlier today, and it's this one little Moabite, little Chinese woman, and I see her sitting there all day at her computer, just intense as hell. She be super intense. When I left there, all the cars was damn near gone out of the parking lot. She was still sitting there, looking into that damn laptop, and that's how I see her every single time I see her. And then when I see the so-called Chinese men in the cafeteria, they all sitting around, it'd be like 7 or 8 of them to a table, and they be talking in their language, whatever, with the chopsticks and shit. They ain't thinking about no bitches. They ain't thinking about no box. They talking about some computer shit this, computer shit that. They not thinking about, okay, well, today is Friday. When we get off, we gonna have a couple of beers, some shots of tequila or something like that, and we gonna go and get on some bitches somewhere. No. They're not thinking about nothing like that. They prefer to get into stuff like this right here. See, this is crazy work right here, right? But again, let me get back with what they said right here again. It says it will never betray you, will always be loyal to you, and will love you unconditionally. And they're starting at 119,801, which is 13,200 euros. I'm not sure exactly what that is American money wise, but we talking in the thousands though. It says the U1 robot comes in male and female versions, though it is not designed for intimate relations. Yeah, sure. That's what you thinking. And we already know you're going to take it next level if that's the case. You know these niggas going to have them, they're going to be sleeping with the motherfuckers in bed. Then you're going to have the ones that like men. They're going to have the Ken doll men. And then, the women that like women, they're going to have the Barbie, and it's just a bunch of freakism and chaos, man. So we need out of here. These people need to be ruled over and not be in charge of anything, man. We're going to rule over these people with an iron fist. You're not going to be in control of having anything like this in our kingdom, man. Anything. And don't worry about it. You're going to have a real woman. Because again, we're going to breed you. You're going to become captives, man, of the children of Israel. We're going to need more servants. We're going to be renting you out. Whatever we choose, you know what I'm saying? We'll see how it plays out once we get those new bodies and the law, statutes, and commandments are written on our minds and our hearts. But this is just weirdoism, bro, at its finest. And when you look at the Moabites, man, I see them at work, man. I just be kind of like, and it's crazy that these motherfuckers have such a hatred for Jake, that you this fucking stupid. You eating dogs, you eating cats, you eating pigeons, you eating all kinds of abominable shit. You don't even have sense enough to not eat shit like that. You dating motherfucking blow up dolls and shit like that, but you got a hatred for Jake, man. You got a hate, you can barely walk without bumping into walls, but really got a real hatred for Jacob, bro. So that lets you know how low we are as a people, bro. That these dogs are licking the wounds of the children of Israel, man. But yet you need a motherfucking Ken doll to move about your day. Weirdos, bro. Anyway, I'm going to end out there. I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yashala and a bubble ball.